For thousands of years, Santa Claus has delighted children by delivering toys on Christmas Eve.
There's a lot of history here. A number of movies depicting his trials and tribulations, and millions of children who trek to shopping malls each year to tell him what they want for Christmas.
Taking a sleigh around the world in one night would seem to have a lot of different types of risks associated with it, so we thought it made sense to ask Santa if he would join us for an episode to clue us in.
And many thanks to our sponsor for this episode, Culligan Water.
Everyone leaves milk for Santa, but did it ever occur to you that he might want some nice clean water during his trip?
Or that his reindeer might as well. Well, Culligan's drinking water systems deliver the superior filtration and refreshing hydration you need to fuel your high-performance lifestyle. Learn more at Culligan.com.
Santa was kind enough to take time out of his incredibly busy schedule at the North Pole to talk to us.
So Santa, welcome to the Adrenaline Zone. We know you're incredibly busy this time of year, so thanks so much for taking time for us, even though it looks like you're unable to appear on camera today.
Well, thanks to you both. I'm delighted to be with you, and I do apologize for having to be off camera. But I should explain. I'm up here in North Pole Operations Center, and as you can imagine, we track the world's population very closely. I mean, precisely to be. In fact, I mean, we need to know who every little boy and girl is, where they are, what they want. So our methods are very closely held because this is, what the government calls PPI, personal professional information, privacy information. And, we get in trouble if we abuse any of that. So, for proprietary reasons, we just can't allow cameras in the ops center. But let me give you a little sense of scale of North Pole operations. I mean, just some rough numbers. I mean, there are a little over 8 billion people in the world. Around a quarter of them are under the age of 15. That means that we have to come up with about 2 billion toys a year.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit fewer because of the little naughty ones, but that's not such a big number. And so our elves have been working their little buns off here to get ready. Lots of overtime. We give them 60 days of comp time off after Christmas. So if you do the math, that means that we have to produce around 6.7, 6.8 million toys every single day, starting in March.
Wow!
How we do all of that, and that's a closely guarded secret. And if you don't have a North Pole security clearance, we can only do audio. So I apologize. That's why you can't see me.
Well, Santa, you mentioned the elves, and there are labor shortages everywhere, and supply chains are in chaos. So how are the elves handling it? Have you had any delivery problems in the North Pole?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of supply chain issues. In the spring, I said to Melvin Elf, he's the chief of manufacturing, and I said, Melvin, there's a chip shortage, and we better get on top of that. Well, gosh, in July, a semi-tractor of Pringles shows up. Melvin, I said, we're computer chips. Computer chips, not potato chips. Okay, pal? So we had problems there, but you ask about elves. I mean, I'll tell you, you cannot get a good elf these days. I mean, ever since the great elf resignation, it's been tougher than blazes to get elves. And, we thought about moving our manufacturing down to Florida. A lot of elves down in Florida and
Texas,
too. Texas, we could do that too. But if we were down there, we'd be up to our butts in elves. But we can't do that. I mean, all the kids, they expect an authentic North Pole toy, and we just can't betray their confidence in us by offshoring production. So we go into a lot of overtime, but we get it done.
So is it classified how many elves you actually have working in the North Pole?
I can't get into that. And, I mean, some of these elves, I mean, when we try to hire them, they even want flex time. I said, there's no such thing as flex time when you're manufacturing toys. You got to be in here. Get your butt in the office. And so
called commitment, right?
Yeah, it's commitment. But we got a good team.
So Santa, the adrenaline zone is about people who take a risk. And here you are, you're riding a sleigh pulled by tiny reindeer. You're doing it in the wintertime, cold and fog. How do you handle those risks?
Yeah, we are a risk manager's nightmare here. I tell you, we have a risk oversight committee, and we've got representatives from all the various elf departments, and we got air traffic control risks. We have risks of all those little reindeer hooves damaging roof tiles. Oh, the insurance company's all over us for that. We're working through that. We've got technology risks. The sleigh is a very sophisticated piece of equipment, and so there's a lot of preventive maintenance stuff that we got to do to make sure that it's fully operational. And, then when I have to hop out and walk across a icy roof, that always makes me just a little nervous, and then pop down the chimney. And sometimes I get stuck, but that's why God made Vaseline. And and then there's the dogs. The dogs they're always but the guys down in the tech department, they created a special treat for dogs. Puts them right to sleep. And so we're okay. We're okay with that. So we manage our risks. We got a lot of them.
So I have to ask, I keep dancing around these classified topics, but so how many reindeer do you really need to pull a sleigh?
Well, yeah, you're right. That is classified. But let me just a little bit. I mean, of course, the hardest part is lift off, when we get started, because the sleigh is plumb full, and that's when we need the most energy, but that's when the reindeer are fresh too, and then of course we fly all over the United States, and the FAA has pretty strict rules on redundancy, in numbers of reindeer, in case one of them flames out on us, So I really can't go into the numbers, but it's gotten a little bit easier over the years, because toys are getting lighter with electronics, more Xboxes and fewer ponies, and it's easier to clean up the sleigh, the next day too. Yeah.
Well, if a reindeer flames out, does it get to ride in the sleigh?
We've got a special recovery operation.
Okay.
That. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. You mentioned earlier going down chimneys is a bit risky. Why do you do that anyway?
Well, because it suits me. Suits. Do you get it? Okay. I know. Mrs.Claus ain't keen on my humor either. So
there you go. Well, what if there's actually no chimney for you to go down? You pass the kids by, or what if somebody left a fire burning?
No, that's simple. I just go right through the front door. Just don't. Don't ask me why. I could do that all over, but I'm a kind of a traditionalist, and it's just, I stay with the plan and pop down the chimney. It's the way I do it.
So you have to be pretty good at locks then, huh, Santa?
Oh, no, that's, I can pick through anything.
Well, you eat a lot of cookies and drink a lot of milk, right? I'm assuming, people leave that stuff and is there any risk there? And do you have a favorite cookie?
Well, yeah, snickerdoodles. I mean, when the good Lord ended the week of creation on the seventh day, he didn't rest, he made snickerdoodles. I just love them things, I'll tell you, I've had about as many chocolate chip cookies as I can stand. I mean, I'm just up to here with chocolate chip cookies, but I still eat them. I don't want to offend family. They went to some trouble for me, and I asked about, is there a risk? Well, yeah, my cardiologist, he's getting a little bit worried about all the cookies. And I told him, hey, doc, I mean, it's just one day a year. I mean, give me a little slack here. I mean, we get through it. I don't tell him I eat cookies during work days too, but that's another.
But an important safety tip, though, for our listeners, snickerdoodles might get you a little extra toy, something like that.
Yeah, well, snickerdoodles, tell them snickerdoodles. You give me snickerdoodles, there's a little something special there.
Okay, good to know. Part of your job is, of course, interacting with the kids at the shopping malls around the world and collecting information on what they're
Yeah.
looking for. So there's a little bit of risk these days with COVID. So did you get all your vaccinations and everything to do that safely?
I am my own herd immunity. I've caught everything, all those little drippy noses. Yeah, I've caught it all, and so now I'm immune to everything. But let me just reassure all your listeners: they won't catch anything from me. I'm a super spreader of joy, not disease. So nobody has anything to worry about for me.
That's good to know.
And you probably have some pretty good elf care.
No, we first top of the line elf care. We're good there.
As someone who thinks a lot about performance, I've always known how important it is to have top quality drinking water. But I never thought about the impact that bad water could have on my home until I got a water softener and saw the huge difference it can make. My dishes don't come out of the dishwasher with spots on them. My showers and sinks are cleaner, and I can even use less soap and detergent. If you want to see how much a water softener can help you too, get started by scheduling your free water test at Culligan.com. So every now and then, at the shopping mall, you might run across a kid who, just doesn't believe in Santa Claus, gives you a hard time. What do you do about that? What do you call them?
Oh, those are the elves. They call them rebels without a clause.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, just I always say, remember, if you don't believe, you don't receive.
There you go.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And the name Old Saint Nick, how'd you get that name? And by the way, how old are you, Santa Claus?
Oh, you can ask a classified question.
Well, no, I can answer that. It started off I started off as a young kid as a Catholic monk, and my name was Nicholas, and I focused on giving things to needy people, and that was a big hit with the church, so they made me a saint, and so that's how that got started. But now, how old? Well, I'm 1,751 years old this year. But as they say, today's 1700s is yesterday's 1500s.
There you go.
Well, you're looking great, Santa. You're wearing it well. But have you picked up any other nicknames over the years?
Well, some people call me Kris Kringle, but I don't really like that. It kind of sounds like a fast food donut shop, Others call me Papa Noel, and I kind of like that. That's got a nice ring to it. But my wife calls me something else, but we're just not going to go there.
Okay, that's probably better.
So how do you know if a little boy or girl has actually been naughty or nice?
Data analytics. I mean, we do all of that down at the EDAC. That's the Elf Data Analytics Center. Elvin is the chief number cruncher down there. Clever little guy. He's got a big brain, and he's just wired for that. He's worked out all of these algorithms. I can't go into that because a lot of it's
classified.
To be honest, frankly, I don't understand it. I was an English lit major. I don't. So now, where do we get all the data? Well, we've got a lot of sources for data. The internet is just replete, and we're able to get pretty good read on it. And the EDAC does a great job of through their data analytics. So we're pretty confident about it. Now, I do want to reassure everybody. We follow the law, and the European Union put in something called the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a privacy thing, and but we've worked out a waiver, with the EU, so I can track all the kids, and they know we won't misuse the data. I mean, we got a good heart.
So I guess it's be careful what you put up, what you post if you're a kid, right? Because Santa's watching.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Boy, there's a lot of little naughty stuff those kids put on Facebook. I don't understand.
Oh, I know it.
So another question, and I hope this isn't classified either, but how do you know when the kids are sleeping? Because aren't they supposed to be sleeping when you come whipping down the chimney and drop stuff off?
Well, occasionally, some kids pops awake, and we use advanced technology for that. Now, Kevin is the lead elf down in the development lab, and he found a good solution. What we do is we mount antennas on the reindeer's antlers, And that gives you a wider aperture because they stretch out over. So we get good aperture and good gain on the antennas, and then that's all connected by Wi-Fi to the sled. So I can see the brain waves of the children, and we can tell when they're asleep. And if they're hanging on, we'll just go on to the next house, and we'll kind of loop back and pick up on them. They all fall asleep eventually.
But you mentioned earlier that sometimes they're not asleep. So what happens if they catch you while you're dropping off the presents? What do you do?
Well, Kevin and his team found a solution to that. I know you've all seen that movie Men in Black, and they use that little flashy thing, the neuralizer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, one of Kevin's guys came up with that a couple of years ago. He won Elf of the Year award for inventing that.
Wow.
Very advanced physics in that thing. I think his name was Mervyn, but we had a little accident lab, and I can't remember right now. But I did get them to figure out a reverse function for it, and I use that on old Mrs.Claus when she's been in the eggnog a little bit, and she needs to recognize me when I come home.
Maybe the elves use it on you too. You never know.
Yeah, that can be dangerous.
That could be dangerous. I watch out for that.
Yeah. So you go shopping malls and you learn what children want for Christmas there, which keeps you really busy. But you also get all these letters as well from children. I mean, from all over the world. Also, how do you have time to read all those letters?
Data analytics again. I mean, Kevin and his team have worked out a way to digitize all the incoming mail, and we use machine learning and natural language processing to get it all down. With millions of kids, we just had to use technology to keep up with it. I kind of miss reading the letters myself, but it's just too much now, and I just can't do that. So it's all pretty automated at this stage.
So I know you've got a lot of reindeer, and you've got your favorites that go around every year with you. And I love their names. And I love the rhythm of, now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. And also Rudolph. Of course, what a story.
Well, now don't forget Olive.
Olive?
Olive, the other reindeer.
I got that.
Oh, yeah. Mrs.Claus gets a kick out of that. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So speaking of Rudolph, I've been trying to follow the stories about, his life, but I can't figure out his parents. Who are Rudolph's parents? Can you illuminate us on that?
Well, it was a dark night that night. And there's a little ambiguity about that. Now, according to the Rankin Bass Holiday Special, his father is Donner, and his mother is a nice doge named Evelyn Donner. In the Good Times retelling, Rudolph's father is Blitzen, and his mother's name is Mitzi. That we call her Vixen, so it rhymes with Blitzen, Vixen. Get it? I mean, I just love that. It's just a lot of fun. But to be honest with you, we really don't know. We really don't care. Don't ask, don't tell. That's how we operate. But we do know, as long as he does his job, but we do know Rudolph's had a girlfriend, cute little filly named Clarice. Nice couple.
So you think there'll be some more red-nosed reindeers in the future, though?
That's why we give them a little comp time.
Yeah, got to take a break now and then. So you mentioned Mrs.Claus. How does she feel about the fact that you only work one day a year? Is she employed? And if so, is she like the major breadwinner for the family?
Look, she doesn't think I do anything, but I let me just say, Mrs.Claus. I mean, she works harder than I do, and she's the head cookie baker, for the elves, as you can imagine. I mean, these little guys, they love their cookies, and because there's an elf shortage, they're even demanding brownies. I mean, we have Friday afternoon brownies to keep them, happy. It's something to look.
Trying to get them to come to the office and not work.
That's right. That's right. You just got to lean forward, when you're looking for help. And she's in charge also of the review committee that decides who's naughty and who's nice. And I have to keep her away from the eggnog when we get to the adjudication phase of that process.
Yeah, I bet that's hard. I have to ask, are the elves snickerdoodle fans too, or
they still have a fondness for chocolate.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, but thank goodness, because there would be no snickerdoodles left for me. So
yeah.
Done.
So I have to ask maybe another classified question, but I've always been curious about how you manage to make it around the world in 24 hours. That's a busy, busy night, and the world's a big, big place.
Yeah, well, we do all of that planning down at the EFO.
The EFO.
Yeah, flight ops. Okay,
of course.
Now Elvin is in charge of flight ops down there. Now he's a retired command sergeant major. You want an enlisted guy to run your flight ops. I mean, you don't want an officer. I mean, you put them in the PR department, but you want a good NCO down in the flight ops, because there's so much work that's down there. He and his team are down there. They're filing flight plans with the FAA and all around. They got a lot of work to do, but let me tell you, they do a good job. But I should say, that I don't experience time the same way you do. I mean, I mentioned earlier how old I am. I don't feel old. I mean, well, on Christmas Day I do, but it's one of the reasons is that time is different for Santa. It's one of the reasons it's so hard to track the sleigh, because we kind of operate in a different dimension. Physicists don't yet understand it. It's something similar to what they mistakenly think of as dark matter and dark energy, but it's really different. It's different from that. Someday humans will figure it out, but they don't got it right now, and I just can't tell you what that all is. But if you can just use an analogy, it's kind of think about it. How do I get all those toys, world toys, 2 billion toys into a single sleigh? And it's really enormous inside. You just can't experience it when you're on the outside. So you have to kind of think of it. It must be kind of like a black hole event horizon. I mean, that's as close as I can come up to. But anyway, I find it pretty amazing that NORAD's able to keep any track of us at all. And them boys have got big, powerful computers, I think.
I had never thought of the high tech involved with getting around the world in 24 hours and carrying all those toys. It must be really special. How much did that thing cost?
Oh, nothing. It was on the house.
Oh, I get it.
On the house, yeah. Okay, you got it. Well,
Santa, you have a great sense of humor, and it's really been great talking with you. We really appreciate you spending some time with our listeners, especially during such a busy time of the year. Christmas is coming up, and we hope that you have a safe flight this week. And I'd like to go offline and tell you what I want for Christmas, because I haven't done that yet. So if you can spare a moment as we sign off, that would be awesome.
Well, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, and hope that we all bring peace to the world here.
We could use it. Thank you so much, Santa, and have a safe flight.
Thank you much. Glad to be with you.
Well, what a great discussion with Santa Claus.
I'm Sandra Magnus.
And I'm Sandy Winnefeld. Thanks again to Culligan Water for sponsoring this episode.
A high-performance lifestyle like Santa's deserves high-performance water. Learn more at Culligan.com.
We hope you and your families and friends enjoy a peaceful and safe holiday season.
Don't forget to check us out on social media, and we'll see you next week.